What's up, Buck fans? I'm here with Troy. After a pretty eventful, action-packed week in the transfer portal, we met with Coach Prime yesterday, and that press conference was just funny. We definitely got a lot of insights after all the news with 16 guys leaving to the transfer portal. So some recruiting going on. We're hearing about those NFL reports. Kind of a little bit of, we kind of touched on a little bit of everything. We haven't seen him since the the third week of March before spring break. So a lot of catching up to do. And there's a lot of talk about busy weekend on the visitor side. But yeah, we're here to recap all of it. Troy, yesterday, we heard a little bit we heard a lot of it from Deion Sanders and the transfer portal. Just for what were your takeaways from, his reaction? He talked about portal needs. What are your kind of general takeaways of a lot from what we heard from him yesterday?
Well, the biggest takeaway I had was that, and this was predictable, but he is not worried in the slightest about a lot of these losses. He pointed out that pretty much all of them are backups. There were a couple that I had expected to compete for starting jobs. Alt McCaskill, Shimon Matire, obviously Cormani McLean. Has the end of the Cormani McLean saga this week, the end of the where is Cormani McLean. But McCaskill and Matire, I kind of wrote down as the two biggest losses, mostly just because of depth at those spots. But Deion doesn't seem concerned. He feels very confident that they're bringing in a lot more guys. He said that they have some offensive linemen coming in, some defensive linemen. He said that they had a tight end signing. And he said some DBs and some linebackers as well were coming in. So that was really my biggest takeaway, was that Deion is not hitting the panic button, which I never expected him to. But that was really, I think, the pervading message that he was putting forth yesterday.
Certainly not afraid about the turnover. And on the recruiting front, they're bringing in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys this weekend, plus the previous guys who have visited. Michael DeBosi, offensive lineman, visited last week as well. So, there's more Louis luggage coming. And I think the quote that I wrote down after, the transfer portal conversation, I don't dislike any of the kids that may leave, man. I just want the best for them. So, I think there's no ill will there, but there were some guys, as you said, like Alton McCaskill. There was always such a interesting narrative with him. I saw a tweet from his dad that said, he was ready to go last year, he's ready to go this year, and if he wasn't going to be RB1, then he's going to look for another opportunity. And ultimately, that's what these guys are looking for, a starting spot. And it's hard to replace depth. It's hard to, bring in a guy and say, hey, you're going to be competing for a starting role, or, you're just going to be the number 2 guy at the moment. But one thing about this staff and what they preach is that the standard is the standard, and they're going to have to really work to earn their place there. And I don't know, I'm not there's a lot of turnover. I think Jaden Milner-Jones was someone that we all looked towards, and we thought he was going to be maybe a staple there. He was a lot of talent there. He was injured at the time that we talked to Kevin Mathis about his health, but there's everyone, at least almost every position group left, but there are some reinforcements coming in that I will get into. There's a lot. Yeah, we got a lot of names here. Of course, some transfers. Payne Kirkland, offensive tackle. Oh, my light just went off. Sometimes it just does that. 6'6", 350 pounds, 3-star in the 2023 class. You hear Texas, pretty prominent program there, and they could use linemen as well. I think Elijah Herring will be headlining the visitors list this weekend. He's going to be a really hot commodity in the transfer portal, and Colorado will be hosting his first visit, so Colorado will have the first impression with him and really trying to win him over because, as you said, and as we've been talking about, they need linebackers, especially with Mans leaving towards the portal, but he was a starter and 80 tackles at Tennessee. He led the defense in tackles last year, and he had 4 tackles for loss. So kind of running through these guys, but got a DL defensive lineman Dayton Hayes from Pittsburgh, 45 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 4 pass breakups, 6 QB hurries, and 1 forced fumble. All last year. These are all stats from last year. So a lot of production from him as well to have a guy who can make an immediate impact in the fall. We got Nikhil Hill-Green from Charlotte, also a linebacker. He led the team second in tackles, 73, 9.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. And then on the high school side, they got an IMG guy, Major Preston Jr., safety, 4-star. And when you see IMG, you kind of get, a compelling player, that's one of the best high school programs, of course, in the country. So he will be visiting this weekend. And then Elijah Griffin, also in the 2025 class. He is a very, very sought out defensive tackle. He's ranked 7th nationally in the class and then 2nd at the position. And he's out of Georgia. So you're getting a experienced Georgia boy there, 6'6", 285 high school player. So I believe he's a 5-star as well. Yeah, he is a 5-star. So a lot of talent this weekend. I think one guy I missed was Ohio State running back Dallin Hayden. And Christian Thatcher. He's a 2025 4-star out of Vegas. 6'3", 230 pounds. Why didn't I not write down his position group? But yeah, what are you seeing out of this pretty extensive visitor group this week? And I'm seeing a lot of like Corey Phillips and Devin Rispress tweet. It's going to be a big weekend. What are you seeing on this weekend?
Yeah, a lot of talent coming in. They CU obviously has I think they have 20 scholarships to fill now, roughly 20 scholarships to fill as of now. And Dion said yesterday that they need depth. They're always looking for depth. They need depth on the offensive line. Pretty much all of their offensive line depth left in the portal. A lot of those guys that played last year, Savion Washington, Isaiah Jada, guys like that. They need depth on the defensive line. Obviously, we know that to be an elite program, you need to have 8, 9, 10 guys that can give you legitimate reps on the defensive line and really everywhere just to withstand the injury bug that inevitably will pop up during the season. Some of the guys that I had written down, some of the guys that you had mentioned, Elijah Herring and Nikhil Hill-Green. We know that CU needs linebackers badly, especially after Demoy Kennedy left. They have almost no depth there. Nikhil Hill-Green was 3rd-team All-American Athletic Conference last year. Elijah Herring, as you mentioned, impact player at Tennessee. Both of those 2 guys that I really would like to see in the middle of the CU defense this year. I wrote down Dayton Hayes as well, 13 career sacks, a lot of experience, played with Samuel Okunlola last year at Pitt. So a little bit of familiarity there up front. That would be a big pickup, another guy that can get after the quarterback. And I also wrote down Andrew Chambly, who is visiting for the spring game next weekend, offensive tackle from Arkansas. He was all SEC freshman team last year, I believe, as a redshirt freshman in the SEC, where it is not easy to play tackle. So a lot of talent there. That would be really good to see him come in and kind of push this offensive line, which the offensive line's really got glowing reviews so far. Dion said yesterday that they're a better group than last year talent-wise, but also he thinks they're more of a family. There's some more togetherness, some more collectiveness there. So that should be a big thing. And I also wrote down Dallin Hayden when I was that was kind of my first thought when Alton McCaskill left is CU looking at Dallin Hayden as somebody who can come in and eat some touches. His production was down a little bit last year. He had a great year as a freshman, ran the ball over 100 times. Scored 5 touchdowns for Ohio State, and Ohio State, we know, has a track record of developing the skill positions really, really well. So those are some names that I had written down, but certainly a lot of talent coming in this weekend and next. And CU's got a lot of work to do to kind of rebuild the depth chart, but they're going to have the chance to persuade some of these guys to suit up in Boulder.
Yeah, definitely. I know yesterday when we talked to him, he mentioned the pass rushers coming in, the defensive backs coming in. We got pass rushers coming, already signed. We have 4 defensive backs as well that are coming, 2 already signed. And I think he was mentioning Ben Boozy and wow, I can't. Malachi Murphy. There we go. So those are two cornerbacks that are coming. And then Sam Hart might be, we already got a commitment from a tight end, he said. So that might be the tight end he was mentioning. He did commit to Boulder last
Yeah,
week or recently, I would say.
another Ohio State guy.
Yeah. So, but following those statements, I think we're good. I know where we are, and you'll find out where we are real soon. I think too, it's, you see the lack of depth at the tight end position, and this could well, not be a team that really utilizes like tight ends and just has like 4, 5 wide receivers just to spread them out. I think Pat Shermer will oversee what resources they have, and at tight end, they'll have a blocking guy out of Sam Hart, but a real pass catcher, a real offensive weapon. Maybe that won't be Colorado's fate. They won't be they won't be Utah, to say to
Yeah,
say the least this year.
I hope that they're able to bring in at least one more because right now, like you said, they have the commitment from Hart, who's more of a blocker, big body. And then Luis Passarello is still injured he missed last season with a knee injury. Brett Bartolone said that he's still out. He's around the team, but he's not healthy yet. So really now, the only 2 tight ends that they have other than that are Savell Smalls and Morgan Pearson, the converted defensive players who are good athletes, but it's a tough transition to make from defensive end in Savell Smalls' case, linebacker in Pearson's case. It's a tough transition to make to tight end. So I would like to see them add another body who can be a reliable pass catcher at that spot. I just he doesn't have to play every snap, but I just think it gives them some more scheme versatility. So that's an option to do some different stuff offensively that I think they didn't really have last year with Mikey Harrison, who was good, but he was really just a stand-up receiver who was playing tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see them add someone else at that spot for sure.
Yeah, and I think another thing too we talked about yesterday was I think his confidence in the offensive line. I think we've been hearing throughout spring practice that there's more chemistry across that group, and they're very physical. They get into it.
Yeah.
We were talking with Shador and Shiloh, and they just said that I think Shiloh said he didn't want to get jumped by the offense, the offensive line. But I think there's still some depth to build across the offensive line right now. I mean, I think they have 4 solidified guys within that rotation, but bringing that Texas, Peyton Kirkland, or Andrew Chambly as well. The more depth, the better as the season goes, and injuries are inevitable. And also, just some guys that aren't on campus yet but will be coming. 4 wide receivers: Will Shepard, Vanderbilt, of course, very productive. There, Cordell Russell, Draylon Miller, freshman Draylon Miller, and Cameron Raquel. So they'll be on their way. And also BJ Green, that's someone that we're anticipating there, a really productive defensive lineman at Arizona State to really beef up that room as well. But I mean, there's always going to be holes in the roster at this time of year. And of course, the staff knows what they're missing. I think it's now just a matter of once again, what are these pieces all going to look like together? How is it going to operate? How are they going to really solve the problems that they confronted last year, big time in the trenches there? And so Shador, we all know what Shador is capable of, and now it's just a matter of really putting that line to the test, and also just seeing how everyone just works together here. So there's more to look forward to, and more guys coming in as well. I saw Jimmy Searfrost's tweet, and he's like, "It's the eye season where everyone tweets the eye emojis."
Yeah.
it's definitely that season, and there's going to be some more names that we're going to be learning as of now. So there isn't a lot of solidified depth here yet, but I think Coach Prime and his recruiting staff are going to get some guys in there to ultimately build the best team that they can. And one thing that we was another big topic of discussion yesterday was Shador and Shiloh recruiting from their Instagram posts.
It got a lot of controversy for
I know, and it's like I get it. And Coach
reasons
Prime
that
said it's legal because the coaches themselves can't contact those players directly, so they're kind of doing the conversing there. And
players talk to players all the time.
I know, is
It's
it? I know they're like, why wouldn't you want to have a conversation with Shador and Shiloh? But Shiloh said they got around 50 DMs, and he sent Coach, his dad, a lot of those guys that reached out to him. Same with Shador, so they're getting some action too. I wonder what kind of names they've sent. Maybe it's guys that we've already seen, but it's a family effort in getting guys to come to Colorado.
I'm curious. My first thought was just my anecdotal thought was just how many guys DM them and they're just like, no, not you.
Probably of I would
Probably a good
say of 25%, maybe
yeah.
more.
Like, well,
Send
besides
their huddle tapes.
that was my first thought.
Be like, hey, check out my huddle tapes of my senior year. Yeah, they're just on the football realm, we're getting a lot of new information. I mean, for the spring game too, we heard that it's gonna be one offense versus two defense again, because when you're the two defense, you want to be the one defense. So you got to know what you're facing when you're facing a one offense. So similar format as last year, with offense wearing white, I'm assuming, and defense wearing black. I mean, that's what they've been doing all spring. So hasn't been sold out yet, though. It's one thing that they keep trying to promote, selling out the spring game.
Yeah,
Coach Prime hopes to get a sellout.
sales have slowed down the last couple of weeks. So I'm curious to see how it's supposed to be cold again, I think, too.
Yeah,
So
right when
see how full that is.
I know it was snowing in Boulder yesterday.
I know.
I wonder if we're gonna get another snow game. I guess we can check the forecast and see, but another, star-studded spring game, maybe with some surprises there and a little Wayne concert. They also talk about the talent show, and I guess that people are submitting videos of them doing their talent, and they're gonna start posting some of those videos. So it's not the football players doing the talent; it's people that have a talent and want to display it.
When you see Nikki on the CU Buffs football account doing something goofy, that's what it's
Yeah,
for.
that's maybe I submitted a clip of me playing my beginner guitar and knowing the first few chords of Cigarette Daydreams. It's pretty spectacular. I recommend you guys tune to the talent show. Just kidding. I'm not doing a talent show. I don't have any talents other than talking about football, I guess. I mean, this is my job. Like, my other hobbies include golf. I would say food. um yeah, next week is final week of spring ball, and then the chaos ensues with May and the transfer portal. So this roster is certainly not finalized whatsoever, but it's good to see a lot of experienced talent coming in at position groups that they do need depth, like linebacker, um, D line, and Peyton Kirkland as well, and Andrew Chambly. I don't know. Then they're hosting so many guys too next
Mhm.
weekend for the spring game. So recruiting is definitely not slowing down, and Coach Prime and the staff are confident that they'll replenish the roster like they did. So it's a matter of what that all looks like at the end. I think when we go back to like the football side of it and what's going on within practice, I thought it was an interesting statement how Shiloh said that Coach Livingston is using him as Jesse Bates, which was one of his former,
Yeah.
star secondary guys at the Bengals. So there's some good communication there, and Robert Livingston really wanted to build this defense around the personnel, and he's using Shiloh as he would, maybe in an NFL setting, and really trying to develop him and get the most out of him and his players. I've been interested to see, what that defense actually looks like, but we haven't been able to go into practice yet. But it seems like it's a maybe, I think maybe individualized experience there on the defensive end.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting from Shiloh that he said that, because he honestly he plays a little bit more in my eyes like Von Bell did in Cincinnati.
Mm.
Uh, if Shiloh's being used like Jesse Bates, that makes it sound like he's going to be playing more free safety, which is less what he did last year. So I'm interested to see how that works, especially when you want to play to his strengths, fitting in the run game, getting downhill, playing that kind of physical style. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see the spring game, to kind of see what he more of what he meant by that.
Yeah, I know he mentioned yesterday just kind of like targeting the run and being that safety that makes that first tackle in the run and in the past. But I know they also mentioned too that they're just working a lot of cover one
Mhm.
this spring. So that was an important detail that we got to Shallow elaborated more on yesterday. And I asked Shador about more about his relationship with Pat Shermer and less choice routes, more definitive um, plays, more schemes that have answers for Shador and what they want to execute. They work well together. They watch a lot of film together. So the Sanders sons seem to be in good hands with Pat Shermer and Robert Livingston on their respective sides of the ball. But on basketball front, pivot. I think we kind of went over a lot of important football stuff for this weekend, but something important happened on the basketball side. The Buffs picked up Trevor Baskin from Colorado Mesa. A really productive wing, around 18 points per game. What are you hearing about Trevor Baskin and his commitment to Colorado?
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. Trevor Baskin's a really good player. CU beat out CSU in his recruitment. And this is a big pickup he does a lot of things that CU really needs. He's 6'9", 200 pounds. So he'll help on the wing. They still need like 3 or 4 more wings, but this is a great start. And he's got good skills. He can do it all. He plays both ways, averaged more than a steal a game last year, can defend. He's a good athlete. It'll be interesting to see, because he looked like a very good athlete playing against D2 competition. So we'll see how that kind of translates to the Big 12, but he's not a minus athlete at best. He's at least going to be able to hold his own against Big 12 athletes, Big 12 wings. And he's very skilled offensively. He can handle the ball. He can make plays for his teammates, averaged almost 4 assists a game last year. He can rebound. He had over 8 rebounds a game. And he can shoot it. He was a 37% 3-point shooter last season. So he'll help space the floor for the Buffs. He could play off the ball. He could play on the ball. Was a D2 All-American last year. CU's had a lot of success recruiting out of D2, out of the RMAC. They got Derek White from there, from UCCS. They got Josh Scott from the RMAC way back. So another D2 star coming in, and he should be an impact player immediately next year for a CU team that needs some impact players with where their roster is right now. But I'm excited about this pickup. This was big for them to kind of get things going back on the right track after losing all of those guys. Still haven't heard anything official from Cody Williams, obviously, but assuming that he's gone and will be in the draft, they'll have 3 more scholarships to use. So we'll see what else that Tad Boyle is able to do in the portal. But Trevor Baskin, definitely a great start. I'm really high on this pickup.
Yeah, seems like he has quite the resume, and we've talked about it too. Tad certainly has a history of developing those RBAC guys, those D2 guys, and bringing them up to their full potential. Maybe we'll have a Dalton Connect situation on our hands.
There we go.
Who
Similar
knows?
build. Similar
On
build.
the women's side too, they picked up a new transfer from Iowa State, Namir Diu. Wow, I should really learn how to pronounce names, but I think I got it there. But yeah, she looks to be a productive player. She's a really really physical. I need to look into her more, but so some building there too going on the women's side. And after they lost a lot of their roster as well, they only have
A lot of their
seven,
roster.
yeah, like 7 returning players. I mean, I have to look into that, but they lost. Yeah, they lost a lot of their roster. Jalen Sherrod did get a signed with the New York Liberty, which is awesome. This is such a great program. I mean, they went to the championship last year,
Go
and
Liberty.
yeah, Sabria, that's like your team.
I know I had my Liberty shirt on the last pod. I should have worn it this time.
Yeah, but yeah, as you said, kind of both basketball sides are getting the ball rolling on the recruiting and trying to rebuild their rosters. And I'm just so interested to hear more about what Tad is bringing in and how they can really build some foundation there, just some supports to keep their heads afloat in a really competitive Big 12. So yeah, we are kind of I think we're wrapping up here. I'm like, what should I say? How should I wrap this up?
Hit the horns.
It was a very, very eventful week and got to hear from, it's always good to hear from Coach Prime and just hear what's really going on, a little bit what inside of the program and how the cards are falling, especially after so many guys, 16 guys went to the transfer portal. So more Louis luggage on the way, and maybe we'll see more on the basketball side as well. But that is all for me. Troy, any final remarks?
Nope. Yep. A lot of recruiting to do for everyone. Men's basketball, women's basketball, football. Gonna be a lot of new faces in here. Looking forward to getting to know some of them, getting to watch all of them play. So yeah.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys next time. Another week, probably next week too, because we'll be gearing up for the spring game. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and see you guys next time.